Hello. I'm going to read you a story. It's called A Place in the Sun. Having decided to spend a few days' holiday in Linton and Lynmouth, we had booked ourselves into the faded grandeur of the Valley of the Rocks Hotel in Linton. It had been a wet and miserable start to the year, but as we drove to our destination, the weather forecaster's promise of sunshine and blue skies came true. After dinner that first evening, we looked through the brochures in the foyer and found the details of a walk through the intriguingly named Valley of the Rocks. We decided to go the following day. It was a beautiful sunny morning, and as we rested on the hillside in the Valley of the Rocks, I saw the walled cemetery below us in the distance. It was bathed in sunlight, and from where we sat it looked neat, green and tranquil. "Let's head down there and stop for lunch," I suggested to Marion. We made our way down the sloping tracks, past the grazing wild Cheviot goats that had made the valley their home, and arrived at the liched gate entrance to the cemetery. We went in and found a seat by a low stone wall where we ate our lunch and enjoyed one of those blissful times when all is well with the world and the sun encourages you to hold your face up towards its welcoming warmth. After we'd eaten, I got up and wandered amongst the gravestones reading the epitaphs of those who had made this their final resting place. I'd been idly browsing amongst the stones when I came upon a grave and its epitaph that stopped me in my tracks. The grey lichen-covered headstone, with its lead-embossed lettering, read, "To the memory of the unknown girl who lost her life in the Lynmouth flood, August 1952. R.I.P." As someone who is old enough to hear the words Linton and Lynmouth, only to be immediately transported back to the time of the terrible floods that took place there, I was intrigued by what I had found. In fact, I was more than intrigued, I was saddened that for over 50 years nobody had claimed this girl, whose remains lay here beneath the soil. I sat beside her grave in the sun for quite some time. I don't use prayers, but I talked to her. I told her that I hoped she had found peace and was reunited with her loved ones. I told her that the day I found her, the sun was shining and the spring flowers were starting to show their faces to the world. I told her that, like the young men who died during the wars, she would never grow old. I said that the people who came to this grave would always think of her as a lovely young girl who was so tragically lost. As we left the cemetery and made our way out of the valley, we looked back, and our lasting memory is of a peaceful oasis, bathed in sunlight, with a backcloth of cool green trees. The following day, we used the quaint vernacular railway to go down to Lynmouth for a cream tea under a parasol and a lazy walk along the front. We came to the museum dedicated to the Linton and Lynmouth floods, so we went in. Inside we found a full record of the event with all the news coverage of the time. It also had a list of the 34 people who tragically lost their lives. Families like Elsie and Ronald Bowen and their two sons David and Kenneth, aged 12 and 9. Gwen and William Richards, along with Bernard, aged 2.5, and Ernest, aged just 13 weeks. There was also Rodney Dimmock, aged 8, who must have left his parents behind to grieve for him. And at the bottom of the list was the unknown woman. There was a mature gentleman looking after the place, and I asked if he knew anything about Our Lady. Turned out that he had been part of the rescue team during the floods. He'd been 19 at the time and had personally known some of the people who were lost. He told us that nationwide inquiries had been made to discover the identity of the unknown lady. He thought she was about 20 years of age. There was plenty of speculation as to who she may have been. She may have been on a day trip. Or she may have been from abroad and doing temporary work in one of the hotels. She may even have been with someone else who got swept away and never recovered. Whatever the circumstances, she has never been identified and probably never will be. So if you're ever in the Valley of the Rocks, take a moment to visit her grave. She will be pleased that you remembered her. And so will you.